Well, welcome back to Conversations with My Sisters. I hope that you've been learning some things and being encouraged just as much as I have been throughout the course of this series. Today I have a special friend of mine on. Her name is Bel, and she's going to share what it's like in her life and her journey about being a single mom. I know it benefited me, and I'm sure it's going to do the same for you. So stick around, and I hope you're encouraged. Super excited about today's show. Why? Because I have one of my really good friends on with us, and she just drops so much wisdom every time I have a conversation with her. So super excited to introduce you guys all to Bel. Thank you so much for coming and being here.
Having me.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So Bel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am 30 years old. I just
celebrated your birthday.
I just celebrated my birthday, which was really, really exciting. And I have 3 kids. I work full time, and I love coffee.
Yeah,
I really do.
Me too. Love coffee.
Yes.
It's National Coffee Day, actually.
It is National Coffee
Yes.
Day.
So one thing that I have to say about you is that I just love every time we're able to sit down and have a conversation, wherever it is. No matter how much time has passed, I know you guys have a friend like this that I feel like we just always pick up from where we left off. We're like, what have you been doing? What's going on? And we always just kind of go back to it. And every time I leave with you, you're just someone that I always sit with, and you're just so, you can tell that you truly value that time and you value just the other person. I always feel leaving encouraged, leaving feeling just like, man, like I'm here struggling, and here she is like a mom. She looks fabulous and just handling life like a boss. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to get it together. But tell me, share with us a little bit about that. You said you just turned 30 and you have 3 kids. I mean, tell us a little about that journey, what that's like to be a single mom.
Yes. Well, if I could put it all in one word, it would be grace. Grace, 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 grace. It has definitely been a journey. It comes with its hardships and its victories, and it definitely has been something that has stretched me, that has grown me in many areas. But I think a big part of it, because I've been a single mom for 7 years now. It was back in 2010 when I actually became a single mom, and at the beginning it was really hard. It wasn't all like flowers and roses. I think there was a good time frame where I actually, was not walking with the Lord. I was depending on my own self, trying to figure it out on my own. And it was in 2011, 2012, I think it's when I came across the church that I'm attending now, which is the Rock in Anaheim. And I knew immediately that that's where the Lord wanted me. And He said, give me a year here. That year turned into, I'm going on it's been 6 years now that I've been at the Rock, and just getting planted, getting involved, getting the kids involved. And I think that has been one of the biggest keys to being a single mom, and not just for myself, because you grow, wherever you're planted, you grow.
Yes.
But I think having your children be planted with you is huge.
Yeah.
Because you begin to build community, you begin to have your kids run with you, and you're even able to, you learn how to slow down with them, how to run with them. You have,
going at their pace.
Going at their pace, being alert and aware of, okay, you know what, my kids are not running with me, it's a season to slow down.
Yes.
And a lot of this just really, it all ties in with who you're surrounding yourself with, but that's
like a big piece part of it.
Yes.
What is it? Because some may say, I think of maybe the single mom out there that she's working full time. Time is always kind of that thing that's running away from us that we don't have a lot of. How do you see the benefits of making your time at church a priority, taking your kids? Like, is it worth it at 7 a.m. when they're all trying, they're hard to wake them up, like, come on, we're going to church. Like, how is that? How have you made it to be for them to actually enjoy it also?
I think from the beginning, I kind of just I know the beginning was a lot of dragging them, and kind of like pulling them because a lot of it was new. But it led up to a moment where I remember, like, it was probably the first time I told the kids, you know what, guys, we're not going to go to church today. And they gave me, like, the biggest fart about it. Like, what do you mean? We're not going to go, Mom? Are you not okay?
Did
like,
you know at that point that it meant a lot that much to them?
Oh my, it was in that moment that I figured out, like, oh my gosh, my kids.
They like it.
They love it, you know? To the point that, you know, now I can do things like, if you guys don't listen, we're not going to go to church. And that's like great, you know, because I can use that, but I mean, that's not common, you know? But yeah, it's something that has been so beneficial that it was, you know, it went from like, okay guys, come on, I know it's a lot, we're stretching you, you know, when I decided to hit the floor running in ministry, it was a little hard on them because we're talking about, we were showing up 8 in the morning and staying till 9 o'clock at night. And it was hard, but at the same time, so rewarding, you know, because you begin to hear them speak about things that, you know I'm not teaching it all to them. So, yeah.
What was like an example of maybe something that you saw your kids do or say, or a way where they started to almost shift and you were kind of like, oh my gosh, maybe being involved in a community like this and an atmosphere like this is helping them, and you know, maybe not depending fully on you for them to grow, but having them are surrounded by people that love them and care about them. When was an opportunity where you saw like, oh my gosh, I never thought they would act like that, or never thought they would grow to be like this, but it's working type of deal?
Yeah, I think it's when I saw my oldest, he began to serve in ministry. And I think that it was
How old was he when he was serving?
He was in J-12, so I want to say 5th grade, 6th grade, no, yeah, 5th grade, okay, yeah, J-12, I think, sorry. But, okay, yeah, so, but I know he was in J-12 for sure, and he began to serve. He began to, you know, because we're there all day, so you're not going to just not do anything. So, you know, he started serving and just seeing, you know, hearing from other leaders like, your son is so great, your son, you know, the kids really love him, depending on what he was doing, whether it's a parking or the little kids. And
taking initiative to
taking initiative. And that, there's nothing like just seeing kids want to serve out of joy and not because I'm making them to do it.
You know, one thing before we started, you had mentioned the saying, you know, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a kid. And I think of those that are out there that could be watching even now. And maybe you're kind of like in a place where, you know, maybe they want to get their kids involved in church, or they're maybe even feeling just kind of like, what's the point? Like, it's just kind of, it's hopeless. Maybe my kids are everywhere, or I just kind of, they're running low on hope. What would you tell them that will just encourage them, just speak life into them? What's a word that you would tell those ladies watching?
I would tell any woman, any single lady, whether you're in your 20s, whether you're not yet in your 20s, you're in your 30s or 40s, keep on enduring, keep persevering, keep pushing through. There's going to be moments where no one's going to know how much you have been struggling. Like, you feel like it's all happening in private. You feel like no one knows. But from personal experience, knowing that there were a lot of those lonely moments, I want to call them lonely, but in reality they're not, because your Father in heaven that sees everything, he sees those very moments where you're at your last straw, you're ready to throw the towel in. Keep pushing through. Like, keep going after the very thing, even if you feel like I'm not fitting in, I'm not clicking, I'm not finding community, I'm not finding connections. I believe that the Lord will put the right people at the right time in your life, in the life of your children. Continue to go after the very thing that is in your heart, that desire to see your kids grow in church, to love the Lord, to serve the Lord. Go after that, because it's going to seem like it's impossible. It's going to seem like, okay, I can't figure this out, I can't do it. But I believe, and I declare right now over your life in the name of Jesus that he will be faithful to meet you right where you are.
Yes.
That's what I would tell you.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just great talking to you every time. I just love it. Thank you. I mean, my gosh, I'm sure you guys, if you guys were just as touched as I am and just kind of eye open to what Bel had to say. Thank you so much for allowing us into your life and sharing personal things and sharing, being vulnerable with us today. I don't take that for granted. I thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we hope that you guys stay in and stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and watching that conversation that I had with my friend Bel. Man, there's one thing that stuck out to me throughout the conversation. It was the fact when she said how no matter where you are right now in your life, that you're not alone. How being lonely can make you almost feel so isolated right away. It's kind of like, where do you go from there? I truly believe that her conversation could really benefit your life where you are. That you can be encouraged if you just come to a place and to know that there's a God who loves you so much and He's with you all the time, so you're not alone. I thank her so much for being here and just sharing and being open with what she shared. And I hope that you all are able to get to a place one day to encourage and share your story with someone just as much as she did here today. Thank you so much. We'll see you all again next week.